What's up? A to Z Sports. It is the Big Orange postgame show, and the Vols are winners in Lexington, leaving Kroger Field with a walk-off, run-off-the-clock victory, 33-27, the final score. As an injured Kentucky player, who knows if it was a fake injury or a real injury, but a 10-second runoff allows the Vols to run off the clock and not have to snap and do a play or try for a field goal or something else on 4th and 8. And Tennessee is 6-2 on this season, 3-2 in the SEC. Here to discuss all of it, I'm Austin Stanley of A to Z Sports, in for Charlie Burris this evening, who was at a wedding, joined by former Vol quarterback Jonathan Crompton. We got a ton of stuff to talk about, but do want to thank all of our great sponsors and partners for all of our Big Orange halftime and post-game shows throughout this season. BetterHelp, we all know it's stressful watching the Vols all season long. BetterHelp can help you out and get 10% off your first month with our link, betterhelp.com/ATOZ Sports. Zen Sportsbook, Zen Sports, they're changing the game with sports books. When you sign up for Zen Sports with our code ATOZTN, earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume in your first 15 days of betting. HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/VolsAZ and use code VolsAZ for 50% off plus free shipping. And Rattle and Snap Tennessee whiskey from Logs of the Distillery to round it all out. We got it for you guys, and I've got my 4-year Rattle and Snap Tennessee whiskey to soak up a win over the Wildcats. Crump, welcome in. Didn't blow them out. Covered the Zen Sports -4, but Tennessee 6-2.
Yeah, a win's a win. I mean, obviously I was wanting to blow. Win's a win. Didn't start the second half the way that we wanted right out of the gate, but kind of weathered the storm, so to speak, and played well near the end. You know what I liked the most, and what I thought was probably the most like unspoken respect a young player could get is Sampson being the one in on that last drive with the trust.
Yep.
You know, like that when he goes in, that tells instantly one, I've been vocal all year about like give the kid the ball. Find the way to get this kid the ball some way because he's electric. When he goes in, I'm like, you know what, that right there, that says it all of what we've got. We've got a 3-headed monster at tailback. I mean, legitimately 254 rushing yards tonight at 5.4 yards a carry. That's in the SEC. That's tremendous. So that was fun to watch. I'll say that. Second half, obviously, a lot of things to clean up. We're gonna have a great show. We got a lot of things to talk about, but that was my instant take was we got to find more ways to get this kid the ball.
Oh, incredible! And Jalen Wright had 120 yards rushing on 11 carries. Jalen Wright did not play, to my knowledge, in the fourth quarter. Right? Isn't that crazy? And look, we all know in every Tennessee game you watch, the broadcast drools over how talented the Vols trio of running backs are. And I've been joking around with Zach Reagan and Charlie Burris the last week. Jabari Small is about to technically be in the top 10 of a lot of stats in school history for running backs in yards and touchdowns because of the longevity that he's been around. But these three guys are legit. And when you can have a guy go for 120 on 11 carries and not need him in the entire fourth quarter because you got Dylan Sampson making plays, catching passes, running, breaking tackles, getting first downs, scoring touchdowns, it is a luxury just to soak up with what Tennessee's got right now.
Yes. And I say that, but the compliment of all the running backs with how well Joe played tonight, 17-20, 85% completion percentage.
Yeah.
Obviously some were screens and that type of stuff, but still 85% completion percentage. Saw somebody say not bad. Dude, it's 8.5 out of 10. Like, come on now. He played for all intents and purposes, he played lights out. 17-20, 227, 10 rushes, 26 yards, and a crucial third down conversion late in the game, and the intelligence to slide and stay in bounds.
Yeah.
Making Kentucky waste another timeout. That right there is the little thing when you're the coach that goes, thank God he listened and paid attention and he understands what we're trying to do on clock management. That was super smart. So kudos to Joe tonight for the game he had, but just all around offensively, we played well. Yeah, we got penalties we got to clean up. That's going to happen every week.
Yeah, no doubt.
That goes till the end of time. Every team's going to be able to say, we got to clean up penalties. We got to clean this up. So from top to bottom, though, really stellar game. Yes, we got to clean up our red zone. We got to get more points, but we're on the right track. And the best part is we're 6-2, still getting better.
Yeah, no doubt. I also forgot at the top of the show, like the show, hit the thumbs up button. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on your YouTube channel, please hit that thumbs up button. Also, share the show too. If you've got Tennessee fans that are soaking up another win over Kentucky, it's like, that's one thing. No matter how good Kentucky thinks they might be, they typically lose to the Tennessee Volunteers late in the fall, just like they have on several Halloween weekends. And so it happened again, 33-27. We're going to get through a lot of different things about this game. We'll talk about Joe Milton at length. We'll talk about a couple other plays and players that I thought stepped up. But Cromp, we were talking right before the game officially ended. And I want you to walk everybody through the situation because at one point, before the Kentucky player got hurt, there was a 12-second differential in the game clock and the play clock, which was looking like Tennessee was going to have to kick a field goal. And kick a field goal, you make it, you go up 9. There's nothing Kentucky can do with those 6 seconds left to win the game. But you kick a field goal, you risk a block, a return, and you lose because Tennessee's only up by 6 points, right? But then the Kentucky player goes down. There ended up being a 10-second runoff, but you were walking me through, I guess, on what players and teams kind of have in the back pocket or something like that, because it was just a 4-second differential before they pulled the 10-second runoff.
Yeah, so when the 4-second differential was there, if Kentucky has a timeout and it stays 4 seconds and don't have the runoff, then what happens is every team practices this. It's called take 7 because mathematically you can literally take 7 seconds off the clock. And what you do is you line up one receiver to the field, 2 tight ends, get a big personnel in, 22 personnel, whatever you need, and you drop back, 5-step drop, and the quarterback and the receiver runs a go route. Quarterback drops back and throws it as high and as far as he can, out of bounds, towards the receiver, so there's no intentional grounding, because the clock does not stop until the ball hits the ground.
Right.
The farther you throw it, until it hits the stands, the clock doesn't stop. So mathematically, you can take 7 to 8 seconds off the clock, depending on the arm strength of the quarterback. And with ours, we'd probably take 15 off, it feels like.
What's Joe Milton's hang time? They talked about it on the broadcast, which I thought was hilarious. Him trying to throw it over the house and go catch it. And he said he caught it twice. But, as a 12-year-old, that would have been insane, right?
No, exactly. He probably really could. But those types of plays every team has in their back pocket for certain game time situations. Yeah. So that's what I was walking through it going, before we knew there was runoff, that's what we should do. Don't kick the field goal, don't risk a block, don't risk anything. Take 7, drop back, get a big personnel, hang it up because the clock doesn't stop. Every team is going to practice it. Somebody said his hang time would be 56 seconds. It really might.
Up there.
But those are the things that I want to see us at a certain point be able to execute. That's just a selfish thing for me, to be able to see them, make sure that we're going over them. You know what I mean? From a fundamental standpoint, I'm assuming we are. I'm really, really confident we are. But it's just one of those.
You're still assuming, though.
Yes, when that happens, that also means we're winning the ball game. So that's also a plus, because we're trying to take time off the clock because the game's over. We just need to waste the clock. And you do it on 4th down because it's a time to waste the clock, so you don't have to give them the ball back. So that's kind of where I was assuming we were going. Obviously, 10-second runoff. We didn't have to.
Right. No, it was big. It was big. So that was definitely interesting here. I see a lot of people saying who's the MVP. We're getting some Dylan Sampsons as the MVP. A lot of, there's a lot of players that played well and had some clutch plays. I thought Joe Milton had a good game. We'll talk about him and grade his play here later on. But let's do what we always do in this post-game show, our one-word game. One word. What is one word to describe the Vols win over Kentucky? 33-27 is the final score. What's one word to describe the Vols win over Kentucky? And we'll get to all of your comments here in a second on your one word. Cromp's one word, mine, and everybody in the chat here watching on a Saturday night. One word right here. But first, BetterHelp. We talked about who better helped the Vols win in the second half, and that was a lot of players, and we'll talk about them here in a second. But if you're a Tennessee fan like we are, and like all you guys watching, you know how stressful the Big Orange can be, and the roller coaster of life can get to us as well. Regardless if you have clinical mental health and issues like depression and anxiety, or if you're going through a tough time, therapy can give you tools to approach life in a very different way. That's where our sponsor, BetterHelp, comes into play. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really tough depending on where you're located and being, locked down to only therapists in your area. BetterHelp's platform is easy because it's online, remote, and they match you. BetterHelp matches you with a therapist depending on what you're looking for. And if you use our link, betterhelp.com/ATOZ sports, you get 10% off your first month. So this football season, go to betterhelp.com/ATOZ sports and save 10% off your first month with betterhelp.com/ATOZ sports. So Crump, while I look at the chat here, what is your one word to describe the Vols win over Kentucky 33-27?
Kentucky. It's Kentucky, man. Like I'm gonna always say that every year. Like Kentucky's Kentucky. Like to me, like when I know we're playing Kentucky, I'm like, all right, there's a dub. That's the way I look at it.
All right.
So
let me ask you, because how many Kentucky Tennessee games were you a part of? 5?
Yes.
5. What is that week like for y'all? Because
it's different. It's different now than what it was then because we used to play on Thanksgiving every year.
Right. It was late.
So no kids were in school. Right. And we always knew, hey, we're going to kick the living beep out of them. Right. That was the mindset of it. You knew, but when we played in Lexington, that the student section is not going to be crazy because everybody was at home. You know what I mean? So it was always an odd week in that sense because it's not going to be a sold out crowd, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're going to kick the piss out of them. And it's not that we didn't respect them. You always respect your opponent.
It was just how does the confidence like that get? I mean, obviously when you got to campus, it was like a 17-game winning streak or whatever.
Oh no, it was more than that when I got. I think we're
see. I know this. My last football game as an undergrad was when Derek Dooley lost at Kentucky to snap a 24-game streak. So I know you are a couple years older than me.
Then it must have been. I thought it was a little more than that.
It was like maybe 18, something like that.
But freaking. Never mind. I don't know how you lose. I don't know how you lose to Kentucky. Like I just don't. That's my opinion. It's not a slight on Kentucky. Obviously, they're in the SEC. I feel the same way about Vanderbilt.
But it's the same way.
Vanderbilt brings our SEC GPA up.
That's right.
Right.
But it's the same way that Florida feels about Tennessee, right?
And it is, and it's a confidence deal. Like watching the Ohio State highlights are on right now from their game going on. Ohio State feels the same way about Michigan. Once you get to a certain point with a team, it's really hard to change that mindset, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you're right. Ours is negative when we play Florida. It is. Look at Charlie every year we play Florida.
Oh, I don't do this show anymore regularly because I can't handle it.
You know what I mean? Like
pull your hair out.
And that's the negative mindset of it. If you go back, if we play Florida and you take everything off their helmet, everything off our helmet, it's just like a black uniform and a white uniform, and it's not Tennessee versus Florida. We beat the piss out of Florida a lot.
Yeah,
but it's just it's a mindset, and that it's the same thing for us against Kentucky. It's a mindset. We just instantly know that it's Kentucky. So
your one word is Kentucky. I love it. More one words from the chat. Pat says relieved. By the way, if you're watching, hit the thumbs up button on the show. We'd appreciate that greatly. So one word to describe the Vols win over Kentucky. Relieved from Pat. Fantastic from Bradley. Resilient from Elias. Randy Melton says sad. I don't know how that's a sad win. But yeah,
a win is a win.
Yeah. Eric says Wright, Sampson, and Joe. 3 words, all one names. Resilient from
Same
Tom.
position group. Good.
Yeah. Donald says nerve-wracking with a hyphens just to play our one-word game. Mr. Jones says kicker. And look, hey, that's legit. Campbell made all of his kicks. Tennessee had 7 scoring drives on the night, 4 field goals and 3 touchdowns. And that one field goal barely got in, but it counts, and Tennessee wins with 4 field goals from Campbell. Chris says red zone. That's a good word to use.
Yeah,
Jeff says ugly. Let's see. Joshua says relief. Philip says clock. Relief coming in. Hallelujah. Finish. Needed. Prove. Complete. Defense question mark. That's an interesting one word. I'm seeing a lot of reliefs come in, a lot of Samsons. I see a Nick saying bowl eligible as one word because that's technically true. 6-2 on the season, bowl eligible. So now it's just depending on what game it is. I see Tony Clark says Kentucky, which is a shout out to Ron Slay. Ron Slay, our buddy over on 104.5 The Zone, always loves to call him Kentucky. So shout out to Slay right there, and even Ramon Foster too jumps in on that one. My one word, Crump, is rebound. I feel like this was a good rebound game for Tennessee because it presented similar scenarios to last week where you failed and you let the win at Alabama completely get away from you, and you were outscored 27-0 in the second half. You struggled in the red zone, but you were able to score a red zone touchdown late to extend the lead to 9, right? You gave up a ton of yards through the air to Leary. I mean, I'm going to go back to his stats. I mean, Leary was really good tonight. 28 of 39 for 373 through the air. He ran for 21 yards, including a couple sacks. So Leary was very effective, but you made some big stops when you had to have it, and you kept him to a field goal there at the end instead of a close touchdown to make it even tighter right there. So I think rebound in a lot of different ways. There's still several issues this team has, but rebound is my one word.
No, I like it. I really do. Because I think you're right. We needed this game, regardless of last week's outcome. We still needed to do this. And I see a lot of people kind of going back and forth with Randy on here, Melton. And Randy comes at me and says, I see what you're saying with it's Kentucky, but this was a close game. UT's not what it used to be. Dude, a win's a win. God almighty. Like, a win is a win.
And you got the best game from that quarterback.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, and also, yes, because I'm also pulled up
a long time.
Now, they obviously, just like I've talked about all year, our secondary needs to get better. We know that. We gave up, this was the most passing yards Leary has had all season by roughly 60, is really about by 58 yards, right?
This is his first 300-yard passing game. He threw for 299 against Eastern Kentucky.
He threw for 315 against Akron. So I've got the season stats right here on ESPN.
I see it. I missed Akron.
Yeah. So it's
Akron. I don't care about Akron.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. But I'm just saying, like, we this is the reason players and former players, and you can say what you want, whatever, blah 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 in the comments. I'm cool with it because obviously I like interacting with you guys. I think it's fun. I truly do. But a comment like that is what gives every player a bad taste with our own fans by going, screw these guys. You know what I mean? Because, dude, a win's a win. Yes. Do we have things to clean up? Yes. Every team's going to say that. But stop saying, oh, well, we're this, and this. It was too close of a game. We're still not good. Dude, we're 6-2. We're 6-2, and we're top 20 in the country.
And honestly,
listen, I'm only talking to Randy right now. That is not everybody else. Like, because these comments are tremendous tonight. Like, I honestly think so. With just some of the questions they're asking that I haven't had a chance to look at. Yeah. I'm so sorry for that. But, like, that's the stuff that rubs some people the wrong way. No, Lou Man, I actually love the comments. The negative comments after a win, just to be negative, is annoying.
For sure. I'm looking. Yeah. O'Leary hasn't thrown for 300 yards against a Power 5 opponent since November of 2021. So it's been nearly 2 years.
Are you surprised that he did it against us?
No, especially like I
said, our secondary needs cleaning up. It does. It really does. But we had somebody said earlier, and I agree with this comment. so true tonight. We have the bend but don't break on defense right now. That can win you ball games, but that's hard to win a championship that way. You know what I mean? So that's where we've got to go. We talked about it last week with me and Charlie. We got to get in the portal to get game proven secondary and receivers right now.
Absolutely.
And after tonight, probably some O linemen.
Yeah, the O line.
We can't hold up in the pass game right now.
Or short yardage. Like I like shocked that they had to draw an offsides to convert a short yardage situation there.
We converted though.
It counted.
Dude, I was like, if they call false start right now, I'm gonna lose it.
That brings up something, and this is true now. I'm about to say something that is absolutely crazy. Tennessee has now gone 2 straight games without the opponent, 2 straight road games without the opponent at home being called for a live penalty. I'll say that one more time. Tennessee has gone now 2 straight road games without their home opponent getting called for a live penalty, because Bama had 1 penalty last week, false start, right? Kentucky had 4 penalties tonight, 3 false starts in their offensive line and the neutral zone infraction against the D-line. All 4 dead ball penalties. That is absurd.
It's almost impressive in a negative way. You know what I mean?
It's very much, yeah, because Tennessee had 9 penalties for 70 yards. Now, Tennessee, I counted this up. Tennessee also had 30 yards on 4 penalties of non-live penalties. So Tennessee still had 5 penalties for 40 yards on live penalties, right? Tonight. And then you all know what happened last week against Alabama. I'm pulling it back up here, but the penalty stats were absolutely completely overblown. Like Tennessee had 8 penalties for 1 from Alabama, and Alabama's was a pre-snap penalty. So I think that is absolutely something that has to be looked at, especially because the home team in both situations were the ones that did not. Like, how do you go a whole game without getting called for a hold?
I was going to say, because you could go hold on every play,
on offense or defense.
Our hold tonight was
a hold.
Like, it was like a choke hold. Like it was. Like it was a blatant call. But there was a few last week that and we're not trying to bring up the past, but there were choke holds that need to be reviewed. And I promise, if you hear this, whoever said it at halftime, please let me know who, because it was a phenomenal comment about at what point, and I've said this at the high school level too, at what point do officials start being held accountable? And I'm not saying to go, I'm not blaming refs, blah, 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 but at what point, when it is a blatant miscall or like a miscall in the not calling it or calling it when it shouldn't have been called, do they start being held accountable and being fined and having to miss games? Because if they miss games, that's no paycheck. That type of stuff, because they directly affect the outcome of games. They do. Whether people like to know that or not, they do. In certain times, because that's a staggering statement that you said about the past 2 road games.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying everybody should have 15 penalties a game, but there's always going to be a penalty here or there.
Not one defensive holding, not one offensive holding, not one live penalty.
Now, the one tonight that they didn't call, blatant PI in the end zone on Squirrel. Now, we scored on the drive, but dude, he ran through him and took him out of bounds. That is the definition of pass interference.
Yep.
And no call. Luckily, we scored on the drive, but I'm sitting there going, I'm losing it when it happened.
Absolutely.
No, that's a good. I like that. It was a good stat.
I did see that on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know who. Wait, I can't give proper credit. Let me go back through my a text thread. Oh, Kevin Vallone. So Kevin Vallone.
Good job, Kevin.
Shout out to Kevin Vallone.
Nice job,
on
Kevin.
Twitter for noticing that, and it happened that way. 2 consecutive full road games without the home opponent being called for a live penalty. Crazy.
This one right here, I want to talk about real quick, if we got a
Yeah.
second, from Jay Brockman. This is a good question. Why do you think this has been 6 minutes ago? But it says, why do you think opposing QBs tend to have their career game against us? Seems to happen no matter the coach. Blah blah blah. There you go. All right. So personal opinion, I think they see how soft, like Austin brought up at halftime, how soft our coverage is, and they understand if I just follow the game plan, I don't have to be a world beater. I can pick them apart and go statistically have a good game.
Yeah.
Right. As long as their O-line can protect. Obviously, that's a big if. But that's my opinion on that, because we do need to shore up the secondary, especially when we're playing Georgia and Missouri coming up. You know what I mean? Next week is a week that we can try to shore this up. But we've got to, because that's what happens. I mean, Connecticut, Missouri, Georgia, Vandy. So, hey, 2 of those are locks. Let's just call it like it is.
Well, did you shout out UConn?
Yeah, UConn and Vandy, they're locks. Let's just call that. I mean, hey, it is what it is, right? So, if we just take care of our business, worst case scenario, 9-3. Best case scenario, if we play our game and can and score, we could run the table with 4-0 here.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm not sold on quarterback at Georgia, but he played well tonight, and our secondary it scares me that he might throw for 400. Not because of all the deep balls, but all the dinks and dunks that just add up.
Yep. Titans YouTuber says beat Kentucky. It's a solid win. Tennessee is 6-2. Jonathan Spencer saying, "Oh, how great it is to be 6-2." And Cromp just mentioned, you got UConn, who's terrible. Vandy, who's also really terrible on the schedule, and then you've got Mizzou and Georgia, a couple really tough opponents. One of them on the road at Mizzou, and then Georgia coming to Knoxville too. I do want to give. We talked a lot about Dylan Sampson early on in this post game show, but absolute stud the way he was able to finish that game. Dylan Sampson, I'm going to go to his stats here now to kind of give him credit. So he had 17 carries for 76 yards, but also added 4 catches for 39 yards in the air. So over 100 yards from scrimmage on the day for Dylan Sampson. Really the game icing touchdown there late in the game as well. So big day from Dylan Sampson. And I also want to give a shout out. Tony Clark brings it up, and then Ben Hall brings it up. Hey, Thornton showed up, right? Nice couple of plays from Thornton. 3 catches for 63 yards. The long of 47 really felt like it broke open the game a little bit for the Vols in that second half. But I mean, it's good to see they made the position move, right? Thornton was playing the slot because you want to take advantage of that vertical speed. They move him outside to Brew McCoy's spot. And hey, 3 catches for 63 yards the first game after that move. That's something I think Tennessee can build upon.
No, I totally agree. The 47-yarder was that was a play. That was nice. Joe throwing across his body, kind of scrambling. But if you notice, you go back and watch it, he's literally pointing, go, come back in, ball.
Yep.
Those are really good things to see, especially when you're playing an SEC opponent and it not just being a UConn next week or something like that. But that was nice because, off schedule play, make a play, break a tackle, get down the sideline. We need more of that. We have more of that, then our run game can go for 250 again. We rush for 250, guys. We're like, I remember last year saying 150. We rush for 250. We're hard to beat because we control the clock. It's just what it is. Even as fast as we go, if we run for 250, we're controlling the clock. You know what I mean? And that's where I did like seeing that. I probably should have mentioned him earlier, Thornton. I'm glad he had a breakout game. Hopefully this is more to come from him. Hopefully next week helps his confidence, get him involved a little early, him and Squirrel both, and go from there. But where was it? Hold on. I got to say it. Lou Man. Georgia's no problem. Vanderbilt, worry about them, okay?
Lou Man's a big Vandy fan.
Oh, no, I love it. I
All
love
right,
it.
let's talk more about Joe Milton. We're about 30 minutes into this post-game show and haven't spent a lot of time talking about the quarterback, but we like to grade Tennessee's quarterback in every post-game show here. So let's go ahead and grade Joe Milton. I'm going to read off the stats right here. I'm going to post that question right there in the chat. How do you grade Joe Milton's performance tonight? The stats: 17 to 20 for 227 yards, one touchdown through the air, a big one. And then he added some nice yards on the ground. He ran for 26 yards, had a long of 19. He had a couple big, nice runs there too that get kind of wiped out from some sack yards. But how do you grade Joe Milton? But first, I'm going to tell all of you guys about our sponsor, HelloFresh. You can take advantage of HelloFresh this football season. A crazy schedule like we all have. It makes it easy to fall back in a dinner time rut, keep mealtime exciting. With over 40 recipes to choose from every week, there's always something delicious to discover with HelloFresh. HelloFresh has all the shopping and meal planning for you. Ingredients arrive right at your doorstep, portioned out, ready to cook, along with the pictured and step-by-step recipe cards. It's so easy. I've done this. We've worked with HelloFresh around the NFL draft for our Titans draft coverage. When I got a lot of stuff going on, HelloFresh makes it easy. Literally, it's 15 to 20-minute meals. They're really good. They help me think of new recipe ideas that I can hold on to. And how about this deal with HelloFresh? Go to HelloFresh.com/VolsAZ and use code VolsAZ, and you get 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/VolsAZ and use code VolsAZ for 50% off your shipping. That's pretty awesome right there. So check that out with HelloFresh.com/VolsAZ for 50% off there. Grading Joe Milton. Cromp, what's your grade tonight for Vols starting quarterback?
Oh, easy A. I mean, 85% completion percentage. The 26 rushing yards is kind of misleading because of the sacks we gave up with the
Yeah.
O-line not holding up. So those count against. So
Which I
I
hate.
think the thing
That's
that
like the
sets it,
dumbest. That's the
it
dumbest
is.
stat in all
It
sports.
it is. I don't agree with it. And the biggest play, like I said, was the third down where he stayed in bounds and slid. But I'm curious, like these people going, oh, C. Have you ever watched football? How in the hell do you grade an 85% completion percentage with
Haters,
11.4
man.
yard average, throwing the ball on the run that he did, making the plays when called upon, a C? I would love to see that because then I want to know what your A is.
Yeah, I think Mr. Jones is just a hater. I'll go through some other kind of.
There was a few of them.
I'm scrolling through. Mr. Jones is the only C that I can
Where
visually
was the
see.
last one? Hold on.
Made, I'm scrolling
Billy
through it.
Bob Taylor, still average Joe, C.
Oh, I must have missed that one.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, I know that they're just trying to rile everybody up, but like,
oh, I see
and
him.
I'm not saying A plus. I'm just going to give it a solid A because he did what he was asked to do.
Yeah,
Right? It
yeah,
wasn't, did he go above and beyond? Some cases, yes, but it wasn't a Heisman performance,
no,
right? But it was a solid, like just a solid A. Played a hell of a game for what we've seen in the past, right? From a couple weeks ago when we had 99 yards or 100 yards throwing, like in general.
yeah, against A&M, right?
Yeah, and
Tony,
this is where the first half last week, second half, the adjustments were atrocious. We talked about it. And then this full game, I think those 6 out of the 8 quarters, he's played the best football he's played in our uniform.
yeah, let's. So Tony Clark says A. Phillips says B plus. Chris Todd says A. Lou Man says B. Travis says solid B. Titans YouTuber says I'll grade him an A. He looked improved. Chris Todd A minus. Billy says B. Mr. Jones says he took a lot of sacks. There was what I just remember 2.
Well,
One of them,
there were a
one of
few,
them was
but here's
bad.
a
One of them was bad.
well, and this is where we've talked about each week, and I've tried to explain it to everybody. We hear so many option routes. It looks like you're sitting in the pocket, all this, but if they're rushing outside and you can't escape out in our offense, you're gonna get sacked. It's just what it is. So our O line they didn't play horrible, right? But they played well enough to win. But we've got to shore that up, especially when we got Georgia and Missouri in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Billy says B. Chris Brown says A. Chris Mansfield says a B plus. Titans YouTuber says he ran when he had lanes and actually hit the open man and made a couple really nice throws on the run. Enough for him. Randy Melton says B plus. Jay says played pretty good. Ran when he needed to, got out of the pocket, made plays, took a couple of sacks that could have been avoided, like we just talked about. He is confident, a great job. Heupel has done a great job coaching him this year. No fear of being pulled. I think I'm going to go with an A minus. Tony Clark brings up no turnovers. I think it was really strong. And we said 17 to 20 passing. I can count off the top of my head 2 of them that were incomplete that probably should have been pass interference. the one deep,
also true.
Right? The one deep to Ramel Keaton early, and then the one to out of the back of the end zone to Squirrel. I think he threw one away out of harm's way. So there's your 3 incompletions, right? 2 should have been PIs and one throwaway that was the right move. So I thought, and I texted you this, I thought the play that Joe Milton made where Deontay Thornton had the 47-yard catch and run, I thought that was one of his best plays he's ever made at Tennessee. Because
he was playing confident tonight.
The way he maneuvered, got out of the pocket, was still being chased to his left, kept his eyes and shoulders set up to where he could then direct Thornton, like you mentioned, and deliver an on-target football on 3rd and 7 or 8 to catch, run 47 yards, flip it like that. I thought that was one of the best quarterback plays I've seen from Joe Milton.
Yeah. And that's what he played confident tonight. He did. We've seen the good and the bad and the ugly with Joe. Joe's good.
I don't know who this might be, but we got Uno and JoJo with a Dante Thornton Jr. name on here watching YouTube.
Hey.
I don't know.
Well, no, but I mean, hey, I'm gonna tell you, like Joe's good is stellar. We know that. Like we've seen it. Look at tonight, dude. He played lights out for what he was asked to do. You just proved the point. 2 of the 3 incompletions were PI. They just didn't call it. We've talked about that earlier. Kind of absurd. And then the other's a throwaway. That's smart football. That's tremendous, like, playing ability within your system. And then, obviously, I think it's complete garbage that sacks count against quarterback rushing yards. Whatever.
Yeah,
that's just,
I hate it.
But so the 26 in reality is probably around 50. You know what I mean? In that range with sacks. So if you're thinking about it, in reality, his runs roughly 5 yards a carry rather than 2.6. If he's running for 5 yards a carry and getting first downs on 3rd down, we legit have a chance to finish 10-2 and make another really good high bowl game to finish the season off strong.
Yep. And I also see people talking about field goals. Mr. Jones says 5 field goals kicked tonight. It was 4, right? Tennessee kicked 4 field goals. And then this is where I was going. Randy Melton says thoughts on the red zone scores.
Because we got to clean that up.
Yeah, look, got to clean it up. But tonight, it was not Joe Milton, right? What happened in the red zone? There was a hold on Campbell when Joe Milton actually converted the 3rd and 4, and it went back to 3rd and 14. There was a 3rd and 9 on one of the field goals that I think that was when Mays had the snap infraction, back up 3rd and 14. You kick a field goal there. There was another one that was also not anywhere near Joe.
And then the 7-second at halftime.
Yeah, right. And then that was right. So there's 3 out of the 4 field goals that were not him. I can't remember the other one there. Now we also, got Deontay says, got you, Chris. Chris Todd says Thornton will need to step up if Tennessee wants to beat Mizzou and Georgia. So look, if Deontay Thornton Jr. is in here, that's one of his best games that he's had as a Vol, the best game he's had as a Vol. If that's the real DT Jr., I don't know. But still, I think Joe Milton tonight was not at all the fault or the reason why. Neither were the receivers. The offensive line has things to clean up.
But we played efficient tonight, just top to bottom. And I'm going to say this all year. I love our running back group. I do. They're super fun to watch. They're electric. get the ball in any one of their hands, and you go, oh, this could go. This could go. The freaking the last drive, we throw a smoke screen to Sampson, right?
Yep.
He gets hit 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, breaks a tackle, spin move, first down. You go, like, get this. Like, I just want to get him the ball. I love when we get him the ball out in space. He is electric. So it's going to be fun to watch for him the next couple of years for sure. The red zone stuff. I mean, listen, they're allowed to game plan too.
Yes, we
need touchdowns, but every game is different in that sense. That's where we talk about at halftime. When I went for the extra play right before half, probably so, but I'm not on the headset with them. I'm not in their conversations, right? That was the smart play they thought we needed. Well, watch this. We win by 5. Say we don't kick it. We go for an extra play. Like I said, I probably would. Botch snap. I don't know, right? Yeah. Whatever. Now it's a 2-point ball game. Oh crap! Anything can happen. So that's where we can sit here and go, yep. Yeah, 4 or 5 field goals, blah blah blah. Well, yeah, we did what we were supposed to do, and we won the freaking ball game. Alabama versus South Florida. It was 3-0 in the fourth quarter.
And honestly, like I have been waiting because last season was as magical as it was. Tennessee was winning games, running away from people and not having to come up big in that everybody's tight. Everybody's got to find out who's going to step up and make a play type of game. The one possession game wasn't really happening much last year in games that Tennessee won. There were a couple of them in 2021, Heupel's first year, but I wanted to see Tennessee win without scoring 30 points. They did it against A&M.
Yeah.
They did it.
We're battle tested this year. We were not battle tested last year.
Right. This is a great example. Now, last week, you let Alabama a win and Tuscaloosa slipped out of your grasp. That sucks. And you're not going to get those chances often. But, especially against Nick Saban as long as he's there. But I do think a big deal to things didn't work great on offense. You moved the ball a ton. You had nearly 500 yards of offense and you kicked 4 field goals. That sucks. But you know what? You won and you figured out how to do it. You gave up 370 yards of passing, but you made them kick 2 field goals. So you won.
You bowed your neck when we had to.
Yes. Huge. Yeah,
here's the thing.
The
Mr.
OT
Jones.
Win versus Pittsburgh's a good one, that's for sure. And then the Bama game, obviously, the shootout.
Yeah,
so
but cool, but here's the thing. Being battle tested 52-49, that's not battle tested. That's literally who has the ball last.
Yep. That's video game.
There's a difference in a shootout and being battle tested when it comes to football.
Yeah, the Pitt game, that's a good example, right? The overtime game being able
that one,
for sure.
I agree. The Alabama one, that was just a shootout. It was whoever had the ball last was going to win that ball game.
Yeah. Bowl game against Purdue. When you and Charlie were talking for 5.5 hours straight during the live stream, that was a shootout. That was a basketball game.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so that's where there's a big difference. This team is battle tested. We've showed this year we can bow our neck and we can do what we're supposed to do in the time we need to do it. Do I wish we did it a little more often? Yeah, I do. But so far we've shown to do it in the moments we need to, minus Alabama last week. But you know what? That's in the past. Mm-hmm. We've got an opportunity in front of us to play like we did tonight, play like we did in the first half of Alabama, play like we did against Texas A&M on defense, and go on this 4-0 run at the end of the year, go 10-2, go win another big bowl game and have a 11-2 season. Like, if we're going to complain with that, then we need a reality check.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just as far as like a whole fan base and everything, like I'm ecstatic right now. I'm completely sleep deprived because of my high school team last night and getting home and having to do all the stuff I did today. So I know that like I'm not emotionally like energetic as I normally am, but I'm so ecstatic on how well We handled adversity tonight. We go score. Kentucky go scores. Cool. We'll just go score now. Like we'll run the ball. We'll drive it down your throat. Then we'll get a stop on defense. That's what was fun to watch tonight.
For sure. Super chat we got here. Timothy says Crompton, it seems, always play Kentucky close. So happy for a win, especially in Lexington. Those games are typically close.
Why? You want to know why?
Why?
Tennessee is Kentucky's Super Bowl. We're their big brother. I mean, for the past 40 years, they always try to play their best game against Tennessee because for a long time, now Kentucky's a lot better than they used to be, obviously. But for a long time, Kentucky was like, we're probably not going to make a bowl game. Right? When we play Tennessee on Thanksgiving, that's our game. Let's ruin their season. And that's kind of became a mindset there. That's why they always play their game against us. It's kind of instilled in them. You go play Ohio State, Michigan. Well, Kentucky's game is us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody says about Louisville. Kentucky's game is Tennessee.
Yeah,
like that's their, and so that's why we always get their best shot, right? But we always come out and do what we're supposed to do.
All right, let's get to our stat of the game. What is your stat of the game? We'll get Cromps here in a second. Stat of the game, but first, I want to give a shout out to the always smooth Rattle and Snap Tennessee whiskey. I've got my 4-year right here. Drank it last weekend in the mountains. It is smooth. You don't need anything to go in that besides a glass. If you want some ice, you can get some ice, but you don't even need that. It's great. It's smooth. Go find a liquor store near you. If you're in Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Mississippi, they're going up to Indiana. I know that, but Tennessee whiskey from Rattle and Snap Log Still Distillery is fantastic. They got the 4-year and the 8-year Rattle and Snap Tennessee whiskey. It's great stuff. So go check that out for your stat of the game. What is your stat, Cromp? What you got?
Oh, I mean, just overall, I was going to pinpoint one player, but overall 5.4 because of 5.4 yards a rush.
Yeah.
I've said it all year. I'm going to continue to say it. I love our running game. I love our running back group. Obviously, Joe is including in that because of running the football. But just 5.4 yards of rush tonight, doing it when we needed to do it. And especially late in the game with Sampson in there. Side note, whoever we need to tell, just put him in. Put him at slot.
Yeah.
Put him in with smaller right out there.
Yeah.
Or hell, have a package for all three of them because they can all catch the ball too, just to change it up because now you get them on a freaking DB or linebacker if they really want to match personnel and put them on a linebacker. That's a win. I would have those packages randomly because they're that electric. But so that
Jeremy says he's Kamara 2.0. I don't know if he's 2.0 because that means he's better than Alvin Kamara. And I don't know, Alvin Kamara's pretty dang good, makes a bunch of money on Sundays, scoring touchdowns and doing crazy things. But yeah,
very underutilized in college, though. If we can,
very true.
Which was
he's fun to watch.
Confusing.
Man. How many?
Yeah, but it's confusing on why he was underutilized, but still.
Well, I know it's because it was a pretty big promise given to Jalen Hurd from the then head coach Butch Jones, and that's look, recruiting and lying and promising and recruiting is always a dirty thing, and that's what I had to do. But yeah, Alvin Kamara. I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? Like, Jalen Wright is one of the leading rushers in the entire SEC. He might be the leading guy after tonight because Ray Davis didn't do much on a night where they were, I want to say they're fairly neck and neck. I'm going to pull up Ray Davis and Jalen Wright's stats on the season and then kind of see where they might stack up to each other. Ray Davis he had 781 coming into the night. So let's add 42 to it. So now he's at like 823.
Yeah.
So Jalen Wright's going to be he's still about 100 yards behind Ray Davis on the season, but Ray Davis is the only guy getting snaps at Kentucky, and Jalen Wright's splitting it 3 ways. And so
that's a good thing to have. But that's how you build longevity in the program. At the running back position, you have to have minimum 2. Minimum 2 if you want to make a run. It's
Yep.
just what it is. If you've got 3, which we do, that's icing on the cake. Like that just okay. Well, let's put Samson in on last drive to go ice the game. Well, he's your third string tailback. It don't matter. He's not a third string tailback like they talked about tonight on TV. He goes anywhere else, he's a starter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a phenomenal thing to have in your program.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So your stat of the game was 5.4. That's the yards per carry.
Yep.
My stat of the game is going to be 0 for 2. 0 for 2. That was Kentucky's attempts on 4th down. I thought Tennessee's defense gave up a lot of yards. They gave up 27 points to Kentucky. It looked tough at times, but 0 for 2 on 4th down led to points both times the other way for Tennessee. And that 4th down stop in the second half on Kentucky's offense was huge because that was when Kentucky could have taken the lead. It was 23-17. Kentucky drives, and it was 4th and 6 at the 34-yard line. Tennessee gets off the field there. Big play by McDonald down the field.
Hell of a play.
Yep.
Hell of a play. It was.
Yep. And then obviously, so there's 6 points that Tennessee got off of 0 for 2 on 4th down. Cromp, what was the score differential? 6. I know you're sleep deprived. I don't want to make you too much.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
6,
well,
right?
I was doing math on a comment about their stat. Which I love this stat that this Jonathan Robertson said. The stat that stands out the most was the discrepancy between us and them. 182 yards difference.
Huge.
That's awesome. For some teams, that is 2 full games rushing. And just tonight, the difference. That's a great stat. I love the detail in it. Because that says it all. Dude, we rush like that with our running backs, dude, we're hard to beat. It doesn't matter how we get it done, we're hard to beat because we can control the clock.
Yeah, Randy's come around. All right, Randy says, "Why do I start these shows, these podcasts so negative? Then by the end, I'm like, UT's on fire."
Well, because I think Randy just likes to try to get me fired up.
Yeah. Hey, Randy, it's okay.
Let's just see what we can do with Crompton tonight. See if we can get him mad.
Yeah, we worked through it all. Now, Jacob asked, "How would you rank Joe's performance?" We did grade Joe's performance earlier in the show, so you can check that out. But hey. Cromp, I'm about good now. I know you've had a long 48 hours or so It's approaching midnight Eastern time where you're at. So any last words here on this post-game show after Tennessee gets the 6-2, 33-27 win over the Wildcats?
No, I mean, outside of just we came out, played our game, did what we were supposed to do, handled Kentucky's best. That is the best Kentucky will play. I can't use the phrase that is normally used in football. They gave us everything they got. We handled it. Defense, I've talked about our secondary. We need to be a little shirt up a little bit.
Yep.
But we made the plays we need to make it, especially that 4th and 6. I forgot about that. You brought that up, a great point, because that was a phenomenal play to change the momentum in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, guys, I'm loving the trajectory of where we're going. I am. I know that we've talked about in the past weeks about the play calling this, play calling that, blah, blah, blah. The play calling is really no different than last year. It's really not. It just seems different. It seems different because when on the option route, they're not going deep. They're staying on the stop routes or the dig routes because the DBs are bailing on us. Hey, so it looks like we're not taking as many shots, but the plays are the same. We're not changing what we do year to year. So we're getting more comfortable as we go. We're hitting our stride. You would rather hit your stride now than the first 4 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is. You'd rather get hot late than start out 10-0 and go 0-2 at the end.
They remember what you do in November, right?
Exactly.
Bingo. 4 games left, all in November coming up. Starts the UConn next week. Do want to give a shout out on the way out the door to all of our great partners for our Big Orange Vols halftime and post game show. BetterHelp, get 10% off your first month. Excuse me, at BetterHelp with our link, betterhelp.com/ATOZ. Excuse me, let me redo that. BetterHelp.com/ATOZ Sports for 10% off your first month with BetterHelp. Zen Sports and their sports book, referral code ATOZTN. When you sign up with Zen Sports with ATOZTN, you get a welcome bonus that gives you up to 5% cash back on your total betting volume, your first 15 days of betting. That's unlimited cash back, 5% on your total betting volume the first 15 days. Also, HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/VolsAZ. Use code VolsAZ and you get 50% off plus free shipping. And Rattle and Snap, Tennessee whiskey. About to enjoy this a little bit later tonight. I got the Titans game tomorrow, which is going to be a long day for me. So this might help me hit the pillow a little better. But go get yourself some Rattle and Snap Tennessee whiskey from Log Hill Distillery. Always great stuff at the liquor store near you. Crump, hope you guys have a great rest of the night. Charlie back for the UConn game next week. Appreciate all you guys. Make sure you like the show on the way out. Hit that thumbs up button. A lot of people on Facebook and YouTube hit the thumbs up button. We need that for sure. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, by the way, Will Levis getting the start. First start in the NFL. Former Kentucky quarterback coming off of
I'm going to give him a hard time about Kentucky sucking tonight.
Yeah, we'll see what that looks like. All right, guys. Everybody have a great rest of your Saturday night. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on our Titan pregame show. Appreciate it as always.